talking about deja vu earlier, and I've realized that I've always been a lucid dreamer probably since the age of 5 years old. I can remember dreams going back that far. And for me, it was one of those things to where my deja vu came from dreams that I used to have back in the day. I remember when I was a younger kid drawing a picture of this house, this random house that I had in this dream, and when I was 19, I ended up going to a wedding, and I told my father to pull over, and the same house that I had drawn out with the same backyard, the same everything, was on the side of the road. My mom remembered it. It was absolutely crazy. So my deja vu comes from dreams that I've had. So that's one of the crazy things when it comes down to it. I noticed that for my lucid dreams, though, they're usually indicators of specific things going on in my life at specific times. So they'll give me messages to or pre warnings onto what is going to happen or where it can go. As for lucid dreaming for me.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, again, keeping within the theme of lucid dreaming, I would like to be able to just play around in that sandbox for a little bit. Aaron, is there more, like, I mean, just in terms of practical tips, what practical tips could you share for people listening who are interested in experience? Well, I mean, that's the thing, though, what's your practice like? Like, do you still have lucid dreams fairly regularly? What's your frequency like?
I lucid dream every night. There's not too many nights that I do not control the dream on which I go in. When it started, I'm going to say that remembering how I did it, I was probably 5 or 6 years old, and I remember watching Superman as a kid. And I remember going to bed, and the Superman theme song was playing over and over again in my head. It was just like on auto repeat. And I remember going to sleep, and I'm standing outside of my house in this dream, and I was wearing a white shirt, and I ripped my shirt open. I could see the letter S just like on my shirt. So I went ahead and ripped the shirt open, and I realized that I could fly in the dream. So I went ahead and jumped in the air, and I started flying. So I noticed that programming your mind before you go to sleep is a big indicator on how you can either step into dream world to where you can actually remember your dreams later on. And for me, that was a form of self-hypnosis that I wasn't consciously aware of at the time because I was too young to really know what hypnosis was. But that was my mind sort of preempting me to go ahead and get into that mind state to go ahead and have that dream. So I noticed that before I go to sleep, what I usually do is I will think about things that either I need the universe to give me information for or things that or different things that I just want to do in my dreams. And it's not all the time that I can control them 100%, but majority of the time I can.
Yeah. So that's really interesting because I've heard of other people who have had the same situation as you, where they by default like lucid dream more often than not. So I mean, it's kind of interesting just the experience that you've chosen for yourself there. I would like to sort of pass the stick around, but just passing it back to you, Aaron, before we do that, what do you feel like? Is there anything that you feel that you could share with us that you've like experienced that may be just like very, like enlightening from having had such experience with lucid dreams? Like, well, this one time I was talking to this multidimensional being, because that's the things that can happen. Is kind of my point. You can really start exploring these like cosmic realms where there's ways to access and like communicate with like other intelligences, which is a very interesting thing. But yeah, Aaron, anything you feel that you can sort of share insight?
The funny thing with me is that I the other day I had just gone through a job transition, and my mother came to eat at the restaurant with me, and I had a dream prior to her coming to the restaurant. In the dream, I remember that there were 3 tornadoes that were going on at the same time, and I remember being in this apartment complex, and I ran into the house, and there was this little corner that was in this air vent, and it turned into a dark room. In the dark room, I went up, and it went upstairs, and my landlord was there, and the landlord, we had a minor conversation, and she opened up this chest, and in the chest was this old money. This old money was dispersed to the people at my job, and then I ended up getting a little piece of that, and then it was like the tornado hit. I was able to go through it, but I knew that it was a pretty traumatic thing. So what I usually do is I will wake up from a dream and I will evaluate what goes on and look at the situation and try to see what message that has to bring. Discerning what goes on in dreams is a very important thing once you do have them, once you wake up immediately, is to see what message did this have to do. Well, while I was speaking to her, I said, I think that there's going to be a lot of changes in my life coming up shortly that it's not going to be necessarily the best thing. And after the conversation, literally 2 hours after that, I ended up getting let go of my job. And it was just so funny. She was like, you just told me about this. And I was just like, yeah, I know. And that's how a lot of the time the dreams speak to me. It's not necessarily on a level to where I speak to other beings, but it comes to me more through, I guess, pictures and themes and trying to decode that for myself,
Cool. All right, just passing the talking stick around. Anybody else on topic of dreams? And thank you, Erin.
Absolutely. My when I have dreams that are lucid, it usually starts out, and that's when I have the dream that I'm flying, and then I realize, okay, I can't fly in the third dimensional reality in the physical plane, so I must be dreaming. And that's the thought form that I have. And then as soon as that happens, then I have control over how I can fly, and I can kind of teleport and transport as well into like different, if I feel like I'm in a fearful situation or like somebody's chasing me, I could all of a sudden just like turn invisible or pop into a different place, or actually like transform like on Merlin where they would transform into a different creature, like shape-shifting.